welcome back to Nourish with me, Chef Kimber Dean. Today we're going to do a special holiday episode, which I love holiday treats, especially making them nice and healthy because I have so many people that come to me and they don't want to cheat when they're trying to be healthy, whether it be a dietary restriction, an allergy, or something like that with their health. So these are great alternatives if you're trying to maybe go to events, share things, or just eat things yourself. So today we're gonna make peppermint truffles, a chai oat bar that has a chocolate topping on top, one of my favorite things to bring to different places. And then we're also gonna make some pecan bites that are really easy to grab and go and to take to other people's events too. So we're gonna start off with our peppermint truffles. We have all of our ingredients set out for us. This guy is full of our raw cacao powder, so it's full of magnesium, has a lot of antioxidants. We're gonna sweeten it with some maple syrup. We want everything to be room temperature if possible so that the coconut oil doesn't solidify. From there, we're gonna use our melted coconut oil. I like to use unrefined for the antibacterial, antimicrobial, and antiviral effects of it. But if you don't like the taste of coconut, or you're taking this somewhere where maybe you're trying to ease people into healthy eating, start with the refined because it takes out that coconut flavor. And then I have a peppermint extract here. So I like to talk about the peppermint extracts because extracts can be one of the #1 places that you find those preservatives or alcohols that you don't want in your body. So I love the Frontier Co-op peppermint. It's just sunflower oil and peppermint extract. So that's a really clean one to use. You can always omit the peppermint if you just want some sea salt ones, and then just a pinch of sea salt just will make that sweetness come out a little bit more. And we're going to use our whisk here. If it starts to get cold or solidify at all, you can use a double broiler. I just throw it on our flat top here at Nourish and I just whisk really quickly because we don't want to cook it. We just want to keep that coconut oil melted. Oh, that's perfect. So you can see it starts to come together and then it gets really shiny and all the lumps go away. And that is when you know it's mixed perfectly. It smells so good. All right. So we'll go ahead, tap off any extra chocolate and just take this. I'm gonna place it in my fridge for about 2 hours and really let it solidify, and then we'll take it out, let it sit out for about 30 minutes to an hour and let it get nice. And we want it so that it's not runny like this, but it's hard enough to scoop without it being a pain. So we'll refrigerate it, take it out, let it sit for a minute, and then we'll start scooping our truffles. All right, so our truffles have been sitting out for about 30 minutes. We want them to come up to somewhat of a room temperature. I have a 3/4 ounce scoop. You could use any size you'd like. They are really rich and decadent, so I think smaller is better, but you do you. If you want them bigger, go ahead. And we just want them flat. So you can see they make that beautiful truffle shape. This is just some eco-friendly parchment paper. You don't want to grease it because if you grease it, they're not going to hold their shape. They'll be a little wet on the bottom and we don't want that. All right, so we got about 11 truffles here with that size. Some of the different toppings you could do for fun, and we want to do it right after we scoop because we are going to throw these back in the fridge and then it won't stick to it as well. I love sea salt on top of my truffles. I like it on any flavor, ginger, orange, regular sea salt, which you could do. And it is really fun. It looks like snowflakes, so if it is winter time, it's got a little bit of fun there. So I do also have some Yum Earth candy canes that I just placed in a bag and I hit it with a rolling pin to break it up. So if you wanted to be a little bit more festive, you could take some of these guys and put them on top, which is kind of fun. They are sweetened with sugar cane and brown rice syrup. So if you're trying to avoid sugar, I do not recommend this, but if you're having a little cheat day for the holidays, this is really festive. Perfect. So we'll take these guys, throw them back in the fridge for about 20 minutes, and then they'll be ready to go. So now I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna make our pecan pie bites. I love this recipe from Happy Baking and Desserts. We have all of our ingredients here. So I've been soaking some dates overnight and some pecans overnight. That's just to soften them up so that we can make a nice paste for our bites. We actually are gonna reserve 3/8 of the date water. So if you think about 3/8, 4/8 is a half of a cup. So we're just doing about 3/4 of a half of a cup. And then we'll go ahead and just drain the rest here. So you wanna get any kind of date, doesn't matter if it's medjool, deglet, whatever, you just want them pitted so that when we put them in our blender, we're not getting any hard debris or chunks in our bites. Perfect. So we're gonna add this guy to our blender. Any high-powered blender will work. You could use Blendtec, Vitamix, Ninja. It really doesn't matter. All right, and then we have our maple syrup. So not very much, just a little extra sweetness to help those dates out if needed. And our date water. That's just gonna help it blend. Perfect. So we'll add our lid to the top and then go ahead and just start it here. Perfect. And we'll start to increase the speed. So then I'm just gonna wipe down the tops and the side and let it run again really quickly. It's okay if it's a little bit chunky. Unless you want it really smooth, you can always add a little bit more of that date water. Oh, that's so perfect. Cool. Just make sure there's no really big chunks in there. Turn it back on. There we go. Perfect. All right, so now that that's done, we'll just take the lid off. And I'm actually gonna chop my pecans that weren't used to be soaked overnight. These are just raw pecans. And we'll just chop them. So it really just depends on the size you want. I don't mind bigger chunks. Some people don't like big chunks of nuts. So just doing what works for you and those around you that'll be eating these. Pecans are really high in omega-3s. They have a lot of B vitamins, which is really great. Yeah. Perfect. So that works for me. Just nicely chopped. We'll grab our mixing bowl and then we're just gonna add everything to the mixing bowl and stir it together. So we'll take our almond flour. This is fine ground almond flour. If you make your own almond flour, it can get really dry, so you might have to add more of the date water or maple syrup if you want that sweetness. I like to use Live Well organic protein powder or Aura or Sun Warrior. Sun Warrior is grain-free, so if you would like to keep these paleo, that's the way to go. And then we just have our cinnamon here. I'm gonna add all of our chopped pecans. It already smells good. And then our date paste here. So you can see this is almost like a nut butter, maybe a little bit thinner. And this is just gonna incorporate everything and bind it all together. Perfect. All right, so we'll just start to mix this together. You could do this in a KitchenAid if you wanted to with the paddle attachment, or I just like to use my hands. Pressing down with the back of the spatula really helps too. So you can see that comes into the perfect little ball of dough. Just make sure you mix well enough so that that cinnamon gets incorporated everywhere. We want everyone to get a little bite of that. Okay, so you can see that's perfect. You see the little chunks of pecans, yummy. Grabbing our tray and our scoop. All right, so we just want to get a nice flat scoop. This is a 1 ounce scoop. You're welcome to use any size that you like. And you don't want to spray this parchment paper. We just want to keep it nice and dry. some things you could do if you wanted to. You could roll it in some coconut, cinnamon sugar. You could roll more nuts around it if you wanted to. I've seen people do coconut flakes or shredded coconut. So really you can turn this into anything that you would enjoy. Throw that guy on there. Perfect. So those are our pecan bites. I'm gonna set these back in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes and let them just start to absorb that almond flour, get a little bit more integrated with the wet paste, and then they'll hold really well when people pick them up to take a bite. So we'll be back after these chill off. Now we're gonna make my chai oat bar, which I love this recipe. It's no bake, so it's all raw, which keeps the enzymes intact with all of our ingredients. And I'm actually gonna show you how to make applesauce. So I'm gonna just take apples. I need to get 3/4 of a cup. So about 2 medium to large apples. Any apple that you like. You could do Granny Smith if you want less sugar. You can do what's in season if it's cheaper, so it really doesn't matter. We wanna cut it somewhat small. It'll just make it blend faster. The bigger the chunks are, the longer it's gonna take. And I always leave the skin on because I love the nutrients. From here, I actually just put all these apples straight into my measuring cup. So, careful if it's glass, you don't want to break it. This is just our standard one that we use here at Nourish. Right. The reason I like to make my own applesauce, one, it's really much cheaper than buying it at the store, especially if it's organic. But most, even the organic ones, have a lot of preservatives in them because it's applesauce. And as we know, apples turn brown pretty quickly. So to stop that process, there has to be a preservative. So I'm just gonna grab a traditional hand blender. Doesn't really matter the brand, these will all work. And I'm just gonna press the high and push down. So that probably saved me about $4 to $5 compared to buying this at the store, and it took me less than 2 minutes. So we'll just wipe down the sides, see what we got. So it's a little bit over a cup. So I'm just gonna eyeball 3/4 of a cup of this. And right here, I just have my oats. So you just wanna make sure that your oats are gluten-free. A lot of oats are processed on machines, or manufacturing companies use them with soy, corn, gluten, whatever it may be. Dairy a lot of the times too. So just make sure that you get them and you know where the source is that you're getting them. So I'm going to eyeball 3/4 of a cup. Perfect. And then we have all of our yummy seasonings. So we have warm water. Lukewarm's good. That's just to help the oats start to expand and absorb all of this so they stick together. We then have our coconut oil melted. We want to use regular coconut oil, not MCT coconut oil, so that once we get it in the fridge, it hardens up and it's going to hold these bars together. And we have our maple syrup. All right, so for our seasonings, this guy has our black pepper, our sea salt, ginger, and our clove. So traditional chai spices if you like chai tea or you like chai lattes. So then over here we have our nutmeg and our cardamom. We're just gonna use our spatula, start to mix. So if you've ever made overnight oats, it's kind of the same idea, just a lot thicker. So we're not making an oatmeal here, we wanna make a bar. So we just wanna get this wet enough to where everything's gonna start to expand, incorporate, absorb, and come together. Oh, it smells so good. And then just make sure that you stir it enough so there's no dry oats and all of your seasoning is incorporated. So I love that you can still see all of the red in here from the apples. I think it's a little more festive. You can always peel your apples if you wanna get rid of that. And then I just have a third pan here from Nourish. I usually use an 8x8 pan at my home. Doesn't really matter what size you want to use as long as you spray it. And the chocolate, if you use a really big one, like a 13x9, you might just have to drizzle the chocolate. It won't go all the way over the top. So just something to be mindful of. We're just gonna spray the bottom and the sides so that these don't stick too bad. Cool. And then from there, go ahead and just pour all of this in. So these are great as a breakfast bar too. Every year the yoga studio I work at has a holiday party and I bring these. This will be my 3rd or 4th year in a row, and now it is highly anticipated by everybody. And also, if I don't bring them, I don't think I'd be invited anymore. So we'll just take this, kind of looks like a little blob, and press it down evenly. You can use any tool in your kitchen that you like. You could use your hands even. Cool. So you can see that's nice and level. That's all we really care about with this. There's no baking, so there's nothing you can do wrong there. And then we just put it in our fridge. We're gonna let this start to set, and then we'll make our chocolate, cover it, and put it back in the fridge to set completely. All right, so our bar has set. It's been in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes. We're gonna start on our chocolate topping now. So we just have our raw cacao powder. We're gonna dump in our maple syrup and our melted coconut oil. Again, we just want it to be regular coconut oil, so not MCT coconut oil, so that it sets, because we want these to have that nice bar-like texture. And then we're just gonna whisk it together. This chocolate recipe is a little bit thinner than the one I traditionally use because we want it to spread and really cover every bar, so it's in every bite. But we're gonna mix it just the same, make sure that all that raw cacao is incorporated, there's no chunks, it looks smooth. Oh, perfect. Cool. From there, the best part, dumping the chocolate on. We're gonna take our chocolate and just kind of pour it over the top. These bars make me so happy. And then you can take any tool again that you like to use. I don't mind using my spatula and just kind of going back and forth gently till we get every bite with a little bit of chocolate. Perfect. And that'll start to set over all those oats. All right, so we'll take this and we'll throw it back into our refrigerator for about 20, 30 more minutes, and then we'll take them out and slice them up and get them ready. All right, so I've pulled everything out of our refrigerator. We got our truffles on our tray, our pecan pie bites, and then our bar. And I'm just gonna show you how to get this out because it can be a little tricky if you have the higher walls like this pan has. So any knife will do, and you can cut them to any size that you would enjoy. Mine are gonna be a little bit bigger than most people's. So I'm just gonna cut straight across the middle, and then just cut some bars along the sides. And then from there, getting a nice spatula that's nice and short but sharp can help you get at least the first one out. So just kind of go along the sides. Let's see if you can try to press down without breaking the chocolate too much. Perfect. So, like I said, my pieces might be a little bit bigger than what most people would do. So you always cut these in half. Just set these guys up here. Perfect. All right. So now that we have all of our treats on our nice tray, our serving tray, I'm gonna go ahead and try a little piece of this chai oat bar because it looks so good. And you can tell it like holds up perfectly after it's been in the fridge for a while, which is so nice. And then I am gonna try one of these guys too. So it just looks so good. This is definitely my sweet tooth I love this, all of this. So these are like perfect. You can tell they stay in contact and the texture stays together. They don't fall apart once they've kind of sat in the fridge for a while, which is great. And then we have our peppermint truffles, which I'm just gonna grab one of these little guys. Let's go ahead and take a bite. So I do like that doesn't have a bunch of mint. I'm not a huge mint fan. So that's like the perfect amount of mint. You could always add more in if you wanted to, but these are the best holiday treats that I could think of for me and my family. Mostly for me, they would just eat whatever I make them. But the chai has like that really yummy chai flavor. If you like chai tea, I do. It's really healing, all of those spices. The pecan pie bites. My grandma had a pecan tree in the back of her backyard when we were younger growing up. So we would just break the shells and eat them. So I love that this is a healthier version. It kind of takes me back to my grandma. And then the peppermint truffles. Who doesn't love chocolate and truffles? So it's just a great way to incorporate the holidays during this time and getting that peppermint flavor in. And then it's so fun and festive to top them any way that you like. You could even do fresh mint if you have a garden and have some fresh mint laying around. So these are our holiday treats for today. I'm so glad you guys joined me. If you like these recipes, please check me out at chefkimberdeen.com or nourishcafeandmarket.com. You could also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And don't forget to nourish from the inside out.